Finance to raise the minimum wage to £2,700 and approved 2 bonuses at a cost of about £8 billion. During his meeting with Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli and Minister of Finance Mohammed Moait to review the budget for the fiscal year 2023-2020. The head of the state reviewed the unified organizational structure of the tax authority to develop the customs system, in addition to saving achieved for importers as a result of the automation and governance of the customs system, as well as the simplification of customs release procedures. The details.
President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi held a meeting with Prime Minister Dr. Mustafa Madbouli and Minister of Finance Mohammed Moait on Tuesday to review the budget for the fiscal year 2022-2023. During the meeting, el-Sisi directed the Ministry of Finance to raise the minimum wage to 2,700 Egyptian pounds, approving 2 bonuses at a cost of about £8 billion. The first is a periodic bonus for employees addressed by the civil service law at 7% of the job wage, and the second is a special bonus for workers not addressed by the civil service law at 13% of the basic salary. This in addition to increasing the additional incentive for both those addressed by the civil service law, and at a total of cost of £18 billion. Adopting a new additional incentive to develop teachers in the education sector, bringing the total to 3.1 billion Egyptian pounds. Allocating an amount of £1.5 billion to finance the additional quality incentive for faculty members and their assistants in universities, centers, institutes and research bodies, as well as financing the implementation of the new law on the salaries of full-time professors. The minister presented the most prominent objectives of the draft budget law for the new fiscal year, which seeks to reduce the total deficit to about 6.3% of GDP, and reduce proportion of the debt of the public budget bodies to the GDP, as well as increase in the wages item with £400 billion. President el-Sisi was briefed on the developments of the tax system, directing to complete projects related to the mechanization of the tax authority, the electronic invoice system and mechanization of development of tax procedures before the end of the current fiscal year. The head of state probed existing efforts to activate the unified organizational structure of the tax authority, as well as start of integration of income and value-added missions in Cairo Governorate. In addition to modern work systems and the executive position of various measures to combat tax evasions, whether through tax campaigns or through the electronic tax unit, in addition to the position of the tax revenue for the first half of the current fiscal year. Sisi was also briefed on the axis of the strategy for developing the customs system and the most important programs and initiatives taken in this regard, including the executive position for the application of the pre-registration system for shipments. Efforts to develop customs release times were also reviewed, as well as the result of a recent study conducted in cooperation with the World Bank, which showed a decrease in release times by about 50%, as the President directed the reduction of release times to reach the same-day shipment's arrival.
Also on Tuesday, President Fattah el-Sisi followed the project of building a factory for high-quality medical bandages factory. This came during the President's meeting with General Walid Abu al-Megid, the Director of the National Service Project System for the Armed Forces, and Major General Abdel Samia, the Chairman of the Nasr Chemicals Company, and Dr. Abdel Menam, the Chairman of the PIL Medical Bandages Company. Presidential spokesman Bassem Radi said the President looked into the details of the project to establish a high-quality medical bandages factory in partnership with the Canadian experience, according to the highest approved international specifications, to contribute in covering local needs. The President instructed to double the production capacity of the project, with latter help in exporting abroad. The meeting also witnessed the detailed presentation of the creation of a huge industrial complex in Ain Sokhna for the production of the phosphate and oil fertilizers in cooperation with the German partnership. President Sisi reviewed the details of the project, which is considered as a new addition to the local fertilizer production system, which are key inputs and supplies affecting the agriculture production and food security, helping to meet the strategic orientation by the state to increase the area of the agricultural lands. President Fattah al-Sisi held a phone call with Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi, Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, during which the president offered his condolences over the victims of the terrorist attack near Abu Dhabi International Airport. During the call, the president condemned the attack by the Houthi militia that targeted the UAE lands, expressing Egypt's full support and solidarity to the United Arab Emirates in all measures and procedures being taken to defend its land and the safety of its citizens. The head of the state confirmed that UAE national security and stability are abided by those of Egypt's within the framework of extended brotherly and historic bilateral relations. Earlier, during a phone call with the UAE Foreign Minister Sheikh Abdullah bin Zayed, Foreign Minister Sameh Shukri expressed Egypt's solidarity with the UAE's government and people. The top diplomat stressed that Egypt stands against all terrorist practices by the Houthis on the Gulf country. Shukri said Egypt strongly stands for the security and stability of the UAE, confirming that the national security of Egypt and that of the UAE are closely linked. Saudi Arabia said it would respond with firmness on terrorist